Hello everyone. Today we are going to begin going over what I hope will become a longer series of discussions on what is Teotl. Although Teotl is more often articulated as Aztec metaphysics or philosophy, it would be more accurate to describe it as Nahua or Mexica, given that Aztec is a more broader umbrella term used by the Spanish settlers and conquistadors to describe the people in the central Mexican plateau. To help us cover ground on what is Teotl, I'm going to be pulling from James Maffei's book, Aztec Philosophy, Understanding a World in Motion. James Maffei is a principal lecturer in the Department of Philosophy, an affiliate of the Latin American Studies program at the University of Maryland. If you'd like to get his book, there will be a link in the description below. In it, he starts off by saying, "At the heart of Aztec metaphysics stands the ontological thesis that there exists just one thing, continually dynamic, vivifying, self-generating, and self-regenerating sacred power, force, or energy. The Aztecs referred to this energy as Teotl." Furthermore, he goes on to talk about how Teotl in and of itself is like power or process with power within it. A simple way of understanding this would be like a river. Now, a river exists, but it's also a force in and of itself that moves things in its path. It would seem like, at least as best as I can understand it, that in the pre-Columbian Nahua and Mexica metaphysics, there was more of a belief that God, or Teotl, was more of a verb than a noun, which is super interesting, right? Because it means that God is more like reigning or digesting, right? ing, rather than rock or chair or something that would fit into a Western understanding of cosmogony, if we understand cosmogony to mean something like ex nihilo, out of nothing. This actually puts the Aztec metaphysics of Teotl more in line with a dharmic understanding of the world, which is that the world exists in these cycles, or Brahman. Consequently, this also puts this concept of Teotl in conversation with East Asian metaphysics, like the classical Chinese metaphysic notion of qi, which is traditionally translated as breath energy or basic stuff concept. You can also find this in Shintoism with this concept of musubi, which both brings to life but also connects all of dasi hisen, right? Greater nature as it is. And if you want to get even more modern, you can see that Alan Watts, when he speaks about Taoism and the Tao, he says, quote, "An unconscious though nonetheless formative energy, like a magnetic field. Individual things are not so much entities as differentiations or forms in the unified field of the Tao." What might interest people of a Brahmanic background is that although it does talk about something similar to Brahman, it does not follow in line with the Advaita Vedanta approach that the material world is an illusion. For the Aztec metaphysics, it actually views the material world as real and very relevant and connected with the unseen world. This might put it more in line with, at least as far as I understand, Vishishtvaita Vedanta, which is this idea that everything is Vishnu, because we'll get into this in a later video, but the symbolism of masks in Aztec religion is very significant for understanding how they conceive of this Teotl, this transformation and this movement of a world that's constantly in motion. Now you may be wondering, well, what do all of these Eastern philosophies and these Brahmanic understandings of the world have to do with Teotl? After all, this is a Mesoamerican Aztec metaphysics. Well, it's to help in the cautionary path of cross-comparison between traditions and ways of viewing the world that were separated by thousands of years and on other sides of the planet, to show that there is not this dualist understanding of separation that we tend to find more common in Western minds of thinking, this separation of mind versus matter, spiritual versus physical, natural versus supernatural, and animate versus inanimate, which are entrenched in many Western ways of thinking. It is meant to be heuristic. Heuristic meaning that it enables as much people as possible to connect with this way of thinking that many people outside of central and southern Mexico may not have a lot of familiarity with. And so these more broad traditions that have this non-dualist approach and this cyclical view of existence can help us better understand what is Teotl without disparaging what Teotl and Aztec metaphysics are in and of themselves. In any case, that's all for now. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.